We are live now.
Good.
Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon. My name is Ravi Bodama. I'm the founder of Startup.io. It's my pleasure connecting with you all today. Today's session, as you all know, the Chandan Ban series is in a long series of with close to 14, 15 episodes. So in that part, today's session is about digital transformation in MSME, how important digital technologies, digital is part of the MSME also. So, in this regard, I would like to introduce the speaker, Mr. Antarpreet Singh. He is the Director Digital Learning in Indian School of Business. Prior to that, he worked for larger enterprise like Reliance, Nokia, kind of big MNCs. I also have Mr. Nilesh Desai, who is actually in a 40 years into entrepreneurship, and he's working hard to make MSME better. He's written some wonderful books. So I'll share you those details also in the below description later. So it's 4:01. So I would like to pass it to Mr. Antarpreet Singh. So he's going to take the session. Please keep your questions. It should be more interactive. So rather it's in a one side. So we love to have it more interactive. Please keep your questions after his session. You can ask the questions in the comments. You can post now. We'll display that later and get them answered. So please, sir, it's my pleasure, sir. Thanks for being part of our platform today. So please go ahead, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Mr. Desai. Good evening, everyone. This. I am going to take only 25 minutes. This is your time, so I am going to be in this present in this platform for an hour. So utilize the 35 minutes to ask questions because the session belongs to you. It's. I'll only be giving you some of the key insights and some of the key data points, and that would be a good food for thought. And in case you are able to frame a question or conceptualize or characterize a problem, you can also send your questions later to Ravi or Mr. Desai, and I'll be very happy to provide answers, and we can put those answers on whichever social media space so that everybody can look at those answers. So let me give you a brief background. In terms of digital transformation, I especially last 6-8 months I've been speaking for empowering youth, including our entrepreneurs. Now I almost every week. I mean, I just finished a session with the youth of Uttarakhand, which is a consortium of universities and other institutions, including Atal Incubation Centers, which had organized a talk. And last week I spoke for another university. So they covered Telangana, Andhra, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Chandigarh, Delhi, Uttarakhand, and today it's an opportunity for me to virtually interact with you. So the talk is all about future. The talk is all about change. The talk is all about transformation. Only for a couple of minutes, I'll take you to the past because then I want to connect the dots in terms of how digital, and you must keep in mind, and you can even note it down, you can put it in your mind, digital is not IT. Digital is much bigger than IT. So keep it in mind because the moment I say digital, a lot of people think, oh, you are talking about IT, you are talking about network, you are talking about some software. No, that is important, that all is there, but it is eventually it is all about when we talk of a car, engine is important, but it is not just engine, it is the complete experience of driving a car. It is complete. In its completeness, car provides us a solution. In a similar way, digital is all about a solution, digital is all about transformation. So I go to the past 10 years earlier in 2010. In terms of market capitalization, all of you are business leaders. You understand what market capitalization means. This is the value of the company. So the six largest companies in the world, in terms of market capitalization globally in 2010, there were two companies which were digital, Apple and Microsoft, and there were four companies which were non-digital. In fact, 2006, if you, because I keep researching on this data, there was only Microsoft which was in top six. Five were brick and mortar. By 2010, General Electric had been was displaced, and we had ICBC, we had a Shell, we had Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's brick and mortar conglomerate, and we had only two digital companies, which were Apple and Microsoft. 2015, two more digital companies joined the top league of six and displaced brick and mortar companies. Those were Google and Amazon. So we in 2015 had four companies out of top six which were digital: Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. August 2020, because every time I give my talk, I refresh my research data. We are left with only Saudi Aramco out of top six as the brick and mortar company. And Saudi Aramco's valuation is also diminishing day by day as oil is not expensive because the consumption as demand has gone down. So we have five companies. Facebook is the new entrant, and Alibaba.com is waiting to enter into the top. We don't know when will it enter. Saudi Aramco has a substantial valuation. So I think Alibaba can displace a digital company to come in the top six. So it will be tough to displace Saudi Aramco. So five. Now, what does it mean? It conveys a lot, and it conveys a lot to you as an entrepreneur. You will be wondering what have we got to do with what you are telling us. Now, I will now go down with this in the backdrop. My point here, and this is a very, very important data point here, is that if five out of top six companies in the world are digital, which means they are on the supply side. Now, the supply side has to equate with the demand side. Only then supply will be created. And the demand side is so huge that the supply side is increasing, and from one company in 2005 to two companies in 2010 and four companies in 2015, now we have five companies out of top six. And that is where the digital enablement and digital transformation comes into play. Some of you might be on the supply side of digital. Majority of you will be on the consumption side of digital. You will be using digital transformation for enabling your business, for making your business future ready, for making your people future ready, for acquiring new age skills, for plugging yourself into digital economy. So let me talk about digital economy, and that is what will interest you a lot. Today we are at $200 billion. Just for the sake of simplicity, these may not be exact figures. I am just for the sake of simplicity taking our gross output GDP as $3 trillion. It is less than 3 trillion, slightly less than 3 trillion, which is 3,000 billion. So in my workshops, I usually show it by a rupee. That is your total economy, and your digital economy is 5 paise today, 5%. But the jaw-dropping data point here is that it is growing at a CAGR of 36%. And it is creating new age jobs. And by 2025, we will have 65 million new age jobs, which digital economy will be supporting. 6.5 crore new age jobs. That's a huge ecosystem which will get created. And that is where you can play in that ecosystem. And 2025, we as a country have a dream of achieving $1 trillion in digital economy. This will become 25% of our total national economic output. 25%, from 5 paise to 25 paise, 5x in 5 years. That's phenomenal. And this was tabled in Parliament by Minister of State, by Minister of Electronics and IT. A report was tabled, which has been prepared by Ministry in collaboration with McKinsey, which gives a roadmap. And MSMEs have been very extensively covered. It's a 247, 248 page report. So there are 10 programs, master programs, which have been selected, 13 sub-programs which are there. And these 10 programs include skilling, digital education. This includes digitally enabling agriculture. This includes digital finance, including microfinance. This includes digital healthcare. You may browse through that report and see that these are the opportunities where I can place myself. Now, before I move further and share with you also about some of the new age jobs, also about the future skills, let me, for a few minutes, let me talk very conceptually. We often mix up the terms digitalization and digitization. And it is very important for you as an entrepreneur to understand that for my venture, for my unit, what is the difference? Now, digitalization is about direction. This is about a roadmap. If you have to go from Hyderabad to Vijayawada, you can't be on a road which takes you to Nagpur. No matter how efficient you are, you will be headed towards the wrong direction. Faster you drive, faster you will reach a wrong milestone. So this is very important that you as an entrepreneur think of a digitalization roadmap for your unit for next 3 years, 5 years. That's not an IT roadmap. That is a roadmap to change mindsets. That is a roadmap to train and skill, and that's where Mr. Desai is working on this skills training of entrepreneurs. That is where you bring change management program. That is where you think in terms of digital economy, which is the place as a stakeholder I can also play. And I was last week, I think last week or 8, 9 days earlier, this was for a Punjab university, and a lot of their participating schools, engineering colleges, management colleges, they were participated, and the vice chancellor had introduced me, and then I had a 1 hour talk. My point was that you think milk and bread business is a brick and mortar business. I am not sitting in front of you, so I can't see your reaction. It is not. It is a digital business. You will laugh at me. You will say how milk and bread supply business is a digital business. That is what entrepreneurs have done. I have several companies I can name in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Gurgaon, in Hyderabad, who bring milk and bread and butter to your and eggs to your doorstep digitally. You will say we can't eat digitally. Yes, you can't eat digitally. These have to be supplied in a physical form to you. But all other processes are digital. How do I know what do I require tomorrow? Do I eat eggs or not? How much milk do I consume? Now is the festival, and we are such a rich culture in India. We have different festivals in different regions. When will the milk demand go up? How do I use artificial intelligence to estimate? The way Hindustan Unilever did for 1 crore Kirana jobs, they deployed their artificial intelligence stack to know the grocery demand because it was hitting the roof when the pandemic started, because there was no eating out and everybody was storing groceries in their homes. So I come back to the point, an entrepreneur who is supplying bread and milk should think that I run a digital business. I do not run supply, business supplying bread and milk, because you can enable your prospects and your customers on a platform through an app. You can deploy artificial intelligence, you can estimate their requirements, you can fulfill, you can pass on price some benefits to them in terms of pricing, in terms of others, and at the end of the day they will have wonderful experience. The last mile has been brick and mortar, but rest everything has been digital. So think in those terms. Do not think that digital means an IT, servers, all that is available. Cloud computing has made everything possible. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to, the way you just switch on the TV and have a remote in hand, at that point in time when you're watching IPL, you are not worrying motherboard is supplying, which IC pin is supplying, how much signal to the other, this thing. That is all in the backdrop. In the same way, IT is in the backdrop. But a digital mindset has to be digital. And see that even if you are in a B2B business, or you are in a consumer internet business B2C, or you're in a hybrid mode of B2B and B2C, think digital. And then you will be able to transform your business digitally. And here I will like to give an example that whenever I talk, uh, I mean, with respect to digital economy, with respect to digital transformation, I also teach digital HR. So people say, oh, now online because of pandemic. Pandemic has brought a lot of misery for us, for the mankind, for the poor, especially. But pandemic has also changed the rules of the game. It has, the digital transformation has accelerated. Maybe I think we would not have achieved that in 20 years. But then people ask me a question, so that means online is the way forward. I say no, and they are very surprised. I say online is not the way forward, and online is not sustainable. Pure online is not sustainable, whether it is education or whether it's your business. It has to be blended. And there I give an example of pizza. I mean, I think it's too early to have pizza now. Maybe you can have it in the dinner time. The pizza example is that the cheapest pizza you see in the menu, which I think will be the only pizza which will be in 2 digits, will be Margherita pizza, which will be just pizza base and some cheese. That's it. That is what online is, pure. But when we talk of blended this thing, we see exotic toppings, we see a lot of toppings, and then the pizza price increases. And those toppings are of different exotic things. That is what a digital transformation has to be exotic, has to be blended, has to have many toppings. By just doing everything online, you say I am entering all my purchase orders online. I am now all invoices are being generated online. That is not digital. That is not digital transformation. Digital transformation has to create business impact. Digital transformation has to create superior customer experiences. Digital transformation has to delight your employees. Digital transformation has to keep your business future relevant. Digital transformation means your employees' skills are the skills which are required by digital economy in next 5 years, 10 years. That is what digital transformation all about. By automating few processes, that is not what digital transformation all about. So I left that point incomplete. Digitalization is all about strategy. It's all about direction. Digitization is about efficiency. It is looking at the processes at the ground level. So unless you have the direction clear, that I have to go to Vijayawada, then I must take a road which takes me to Vijayawada. I am not to go to Nagpur. Once you have taken that road, once you have drawn that digital transformation roadmap, now I come down to the processes level, now I come down to my reports level. But first, I have created a roadmap. I understand who my customers are, where my market is, who my prospects are, how I can digitally connect with them, how I can create connected experience, who my partners are, who supplies me, to whom I supply, or if I am in a B2C market, that what is the demand of my this thing, what is the latent demand. Maybe if I bring something up, the demand which is not visible on the surface comes up, right? So maybe you can say, for example, if you're in education technologies venture, you say coaching young youngsters in the age group of 25 to 30 for so that they are prepared for new age jobs. That could be a latent demand that may not be on the surface. So digitization is about that, and these are two sides of the same coin: direction and then processes. And now, in terms of being future ready, and this is my last point, and then I will wait for your questions. I think that it will be more satisfying for me to answer your questions. Would be that the future skills. Some of the very credible studies by World Economic Forum and by other organizations, very credible organizations, have pointed that in next 5 to 10 years globally, we will have 85% job roles which will be new, which means only 15% of today's job roles will remain. What are those job roles? Try to figure out: full stack developer, forensic auditor, cloud computing specialist, digital media specialist, digital content architect, dis- digital agriculture specialist, digital healthcare specialist, all those in the Ministry of IT and Electronics, all those petty schemes which are there. See where do you fit in. That encompasses the whole economy. Draw your roadmap. Then come down to the processes level. IT is like you put salt in your vegetable. Without salt, it will be tasteless. But by putting salt, you are not. That's not a recipe. Everybody puts salt in the IT in the dish. That is not a recipe. Create a digital recipe for your venture, and there are plenty and plenty of opportunities. And another jaw-dropping data point before I stop is that by 2030, 40% of our economy will be digital, from 5% today, in just 10 years. Look at the opportunities. Now is the time to act swiftly, decisively, with conviction, with courage. We should be proud that we are in a country which will offer huge number of opportunities in the next 10 years. So with this, let me take a pause and let's see what questions have we got.
Thank you so much, sir. It was so impressive. It's so adorable, actually, your information. I think Desai sir have some points. Sir, please, sir. Desai, it's up to you.
Dr. Singh, see the first problem, we have got 6.35 crore MSME, and going by Professor C.K. Prahal's theory of bottom of pyramid, 80% of the unit are below 2 crore turnover, employs 70% of the people. Now, the way you have said that there should be a roadmap, and probably larger group may not be able to understand where to start. So is it possible for you or Ravi, both of you, can say that this is the step and how do we measure the performance improvement? Because this group, what I'm talking, they are not knowing what is their return on investment. They are not financial savvy. They just look today, tomorrow, that is all. They don't think beyond 3 years or 5 years, as Ravi and you are thinking. So how can we guide? My major group or my major worry is how do I help these 80% of the people so that they can become aspirational and think little beyond. Thank you.
So Ravi, you want to say something? Then I'll.
Yeah, sir. Please, sir. It's all yours today. I'll
Okay.
talk later.
When we say that 80% and MSMEs are the backbone of our economy, so we first of all we must, and I'm repeating myself, we must keep in our mind every business is a digital business. That is the first thing we have to keep in mind. So you should not exclude yourself from this digital ecosystem. The moment you exclude yourself out of the digital ecosystem and you say mine is a brick and mortar, I am making these, let's say, fasteners. How my business is digital business. Then you are missing the whole major link in the overall transformation landscape. overall game, overall ecosystem. Any business would require interface with customers. There's a market to which you sell. There is a place from where you buy. There are employees who work for you. There is investment you make. There are machines to run. There may not be machines. You might be in a completely knowledge business. But every business is a digital business. So we should remove this myth from our minds that it is only for large companies to draw digitalization roadmaps and to have digitization, process this thing, automation. Of course, you may not have a luxury of that fancy investments which larger companies can make. But at the same point in time, software as a service, platform as a service, so many services are now available where you don't have to, it is pay per use. It is just like buying furniture on rent, or it is just like buying a car on rent for 10 days, and when you don't require it, you just stop the use. So there is so much available. The only thing is that you have to open up, you have to think in terms of how I can leverage cloud, how I can leverage the cloud computing technologies without investing myself. Nobody is wanting you to invest in capex. You may already be starved of cash in terms of working capital. From where will you bring in money to put in this thing? And now we are in the age of thin clients. You don't need, you only need few computers to access that. That's it. And everything is now at such a competitive prices, everything is available. But again and again, I am reinforcing that point that you must consider your business as a digital business, no matter in whichever this thing. Some of the businesses will easily map to digital. Let's say you are an education technology, this thing. Let's say you are developing a proctoring, online proctoring platform, then you are on the supply side of digital. But when you are on the consumer side of this digital, on the consumption side of digital, then you have to map yourself with the digital, and that is very important. So no matter you are a 1% company, you are 2% company, you are even if you are a real estate agent, why cannot you leverage artificial intelligence by a paid subscription to see that how I can increase my business? I mean, some of the property agents will laugh at me that what have we got to do with digital? You have got to do everything with digital, because unless you leverage digital, you will not be able to plug yourself into a space which is growing at a CAGR of 36%. So whether it is agriculture, healthcare, whether it's construction, whether it's manufacturing, education, skilling, banking, finance, you name it, and it will be there in that digital economy play. So you want to be included. If you want to be included, then you must play by the rules of the game. And if you exclude yourself, then you are depriving yourself of a big opportunity. Now you will say that this is a high level, all that you are telling, because I can only tell you high level so that it cuts across the boundaries of all entrepreneurs, businesses who might be present in today's conference. It is for you to translate this high level talk into a strategic roadmap for your business and tactical roadmap for your business. And again, I am repeating, digital is not IT. Digital, the transformation is all about change of mindset, all about change of business model, is all about change of strategy, is all about plugging yourself into the fastest growing area of Indian economy, which is digital economy.
Sir, add to that one point, actually, I mean, to Desai Garu, I mentioned this in some earlier one also. So now everyone have the mobile. Many people are doing the women, especially women, selling saris and all with just by using WhatsApp. There is nothing technology, nothing. It's a simple. And if you really see the volume of the business that they do, I mean, it's just starting. I'm saying. So earlier people come to home and see the sarees, and then now people have started just sending the photographs on WhatsApp and getting the orders paid through Paytm, and then send it by courier. Simple. See how, I mean, it's a very simple thing. I mean, I'm just giving you a very rock bottom level example I'm talking. And there are many free tools, especially if you talk about the IT, and you don't need any computer. You have a mobile. There are many apps, and there are many tools, cloud tools. There are many free tools that you can start off with.
So
For
Yeah,
Ravi, the problem is with knowledge and without knowledge. See, this 80% what I am talking, they use mobile for
I think his.
but they don't
We
know how
lost.
to utilize, how to cross fertilize that idea for their business.
True, sir. I mean, I'll just give you one more example. See, when I'm a kid, uh, people used to use the bull carts to transport the all the goods and all. Once the trucks, the tractors have come. I mean, though they were there, I mean, it was only 20-30% people used to use the tractors, and then everyone used to use the bull carts. Even I remember the sand and all, everything used to go. Even though I'm not an automobile engineer, I don't know anything. I started moving when things are moving in. I saw it in childhood. I used to go in the manual. The rickshaw puller will be there. Now there are no rickshaw pullers because I don't know auto. I mean, automobile engine. I can't drive an auto, right? So you have to start adapting. You start. You don't have to do the coding. That's what sir also saying. Anthropit sir. You don't have to think about the IT. There is an IT is the back end, so you don't have to worry about all you need to know. So now everyone know how to use Facebook, how to use WhatsApp. So that's how you learn what you need to do in the front end. It's a very simple. If you know the basic English, you can start off, and there are multi-language things are there. Every app is supporting the multi-language. You can get in with your own language. There are multiple ways because the commitment towards the adapting is most important. The more you scare, I mean, you will not be able to see. The bull cart is so easy. If I take the tractor, I might hit it, might accident. They will never be able to change. The entire world will change. You will be still lag behind. Nobody will call you to get the sand.
I think
So
I will
you
have
have
to
to
stop
change.
asking question. One-to-one discussion.
No.
I
I'm
take
just telling. I'm
no,
just
no,
telling you.
because
So
there are a lot of questions in the queue, which is more
yeah, we'll
interactive.
jump into it. We'll jump into it. The question, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please.
Please correct me, sir, if my examples are not relevant. But I was
No,
just
no,
trying
your
to give.
examples are very relevant. Only thing is the mindset. How do we change? As Mr. Singh is also saying, the need is for changing the mindset and culture. And there is a lot of resistance at every level. But we'll discuss one-to-one. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. I'll. Somebody is saying, Ivan Anthony John, nothing is secure online. This is not in a full
okay.
question, but
So, yeah. So let me. John has asked a very relevant question that nothing is secure online. I would put a counter this thing that there is more insecurity of not being online. So there is an insecurity of being online, and there is a larger insecurity of not being online. So there is we do not John live in a perfect world. We live in an imperfect world, but in spite of all the constraints, we have to make progress. So what we can do here is that there may not be pure answers to your question, but at the same point in time, we have to ensure that what checks and balances we can take to make sure that we can secure our crucial data. For example, if you are an entrepreneur and you have a file which contains your 200 customers and 500 prospects, now that's a very precious data. You will not want the competition to have a look at that. Now, how can you secure it while you continue with your digital transformation roadmap? Are there some encryption algorithms available which can encrypt your data so that even nobody, I mean, nobody who has access within your organization can even decode it? So there are lots of ways and means available, and that's where change of mindset, shedding the fear, moving with conviction, moving with courage, that is important. And we must answer, question ourselves, what are the consequences of, like there is a very famous joke that people say that you are training your employees, because you're training 50% will leave, and the HR manager says that if I do not train, then 100% will leave.
Leave.
Okay, so
Wonderful.
you have to compare the consequences. I completely agree with what John says, that there are security issues, but then there are accidents also. There are thefts also. There are all types of incidents which happen. Do we stop to live? We have to have countermeasures. We have to have safeguards. In a similar way, have a mindset that how can I, if I say that no, I'll just protect myself and I will not operate digitally, then you will be left behind. Then you are
True, sir.
just shooting in the dark. You do not
Sure.
know about market. You do not know about the prospect. So let's take next question.
Sure, sir. Manjula is asking how performance review can be done with artificial intelligence.
Okay, this is a great question, and this is what I teach in my digital HR classes also. So artificial intelligence, just to for the for everyone's knowledge, we can demystify the AI stack in terms of deep learning, in terms of machine learning, and in terms of artificial general intelligence. So these are the three layers of the AI stack. Now, the deep learning is very similar to what we have been doing in an enterprise software ecosystems. The machine learning is something where algorithms learn by themselves. So Manjula's question is very, very good. Performance review, up to now, we have been doing it in a very structured manner. We have been using software to do performance review, but that is a very dumb way of doing performance review. For example, if I ask Alexa, what is the temperature in Hyderabad, and Alexa says the 33 degrees. Tomorrow again I ask, Alexa says 32 degrees. But then Alexa becomes so intelligent that it also starts giving me some other information on relative humidity, on prediction about rain. The algorithm has started learning by itself. That is machine learning. So performance review by machine learning would be far superior than performance review through deep learning stack. So when we talk of machine learning where algorithms are learning by themselves, the performance review will throw up a lot of data points, because algorithm is smarter now. Algorithm is learning. It will throw up a lot of data points about potential of some of the employees who might have been rated poorly. So, which means that because of some reason, and that reason could be a bad boss also, the reason could be a family problem also, but the potential is there. How do I identify people who have good potential, or I have put a person in a wrong job? He's not cut for sales and I have put him in sales. So that becomes a very dynamic performance review powered by machine learning algorithms. This in itself is a very interesting and very, very important field in digital HR. I teach this subject, but I will take up entire time if I keep telling about this. So let's move to the next question.
I have another question here. What cloud storage should I use, and how will I make sure data can be reported and analyzed effectively?
Yeah, so this is another great question. Now, uh, these are the important decisions which, as an entrepreneur, you have to take. And now, when it comes to cloud services, this is just like a restaurant menu, or this is just like any other menu which says that if you buy 2 biryanis, you will it will be cheaper than you buy 1 biryani, or if you buy 4 biryanis, one will be free, and we will charge you only for 3. So something similar, or if you say buy 3 shirts and 4th will be free, or something like that. In a similar shopping list is there when it comes to cloud storage. Now, Amazon or Azure or Google Cloud or all of these offer you long-term this thing at a much cheaper prices, or a short-term will be a little expensive. Now you have to. That is where I say this. Your strategic roadmap will come into play. Where do I want to go? I want to go to point A, Vijayawada or Nagpur, and then you will determine what are my. Of course, I mean it is business is very dynamic. You may not be able to exactly know what would be my cloud storage requirement, but if you have a roadmap that I will need it, then go in for agreements with Amazon, pick up those which are for a longer duration. It will be much cheaper. And also, how are you charging? I mean, if you are in a digital business in terms of, and let's say, where you are providing software as a service, in that case, you can also charge the cloud storage, or factor it in a way that this much cloud storage in a subscription is there, but beyond that, it will be charged. So your business models, that is where strategic entrepreneurship comes into play. Then this is another subject which I teach. I mean, this is very close to my heart. I was myself an entrepreneur for 3 years. So in terms of cloud storage, you have to see how it maps with your business. And that is where I continue to say that this is not just an IT question. As a business leader, you have to answer that. How much funds do I put? Do I commit myself for 15 months? I get a much better price. What is the kind of storage? And why do I need that storage? How many subscriptions I will be able to sell? Or do I need that storage only for myself? Should I go by a granular way and be cautious and step by step increase, take commit for a higher storage and a higher time frame? I may have to shell out more money, but eventually per month, when it comes to operating expenses or OPEX, this is much cheaper. So overall, at a yearly level, it will be much lighter on my profit and loss account than buying it repeatedly. So it is just like buying something where they say we will service you 12 times in a year at a much cheaper. But if you come to us every time once in a month, then the price will be higher. So all these things you have to figure out. Why do you need storage? I mean, what kind of business are you in? Are you in a storage intensive? Your customers use a lot of storage because of some videos, because of some other this thing. How can you optimize storage? How can you make sure that you are not wasting that resource, because that then you are burning the cash, and that is something very, very precious for an entrepreneur.
I'll jump into the next question, sir. This question is from Sauradeepa. Name some of the free CRM softwares for MSME. So she's specifically asking some names.
So, Saudhapriya, first of all, if you are running a CRM company and you are a CEO of a CRM company and an MSME, and I am a customer and I ask you, will you provide your software free to me? Then you will ask me from where my revenue will come. Okay. So first of all, the freebies are available only for demo purposes, or freebies are available where the technology has moved on, and now plenty of that is available free of this thing. There are plenty of CRM softwares which are available. I would urge you, if you require this as an entrepreneur, if you require this thing, of course, Salesforce.com and some of the other, it also depends on what is your need. Is it sales automation? Is it for edtech? Is it for some other business? And if it is sales automation, are you running a retail business? If you're running a retail business, there are, within 1 minute, you can find out 20 companies. Field Assist is there. There are beetroot is there. Beetroot, not the sweet beetroot which we eat, but it is beet. Root is ROUTE. Lot of other companies are there. I mean, there are plenty. I mean, Salesforce.com is only one, but there are plenty of this. So, what is your requirement? If you need the free just to test it out, because nobody will give it to free, that use this as a factor of an input in your process. If everybody could get inputs at a free and output at a pricing, then everybody will be a millionaire, because you are not paying anything for inputs and you are charging customers for the outputs. So, what is your purpose of having this free software for demo purpose? Otherwise, put yourself in the shoes of a CEO of a startup who is selling CRM software. Why will they sell it free? If you want to test it out, you can take a 15-day demo license from them. They'll be very happy to provide you with a demo license.
Thank you, sir. I have another question from Imran. What are the security aspects provided with the cloud?
Yeah, so Imran, again, I mean, I am not a cloud computing specialist. Only thing I can tell you is that there is a secure socket layer 128. I mean, these are some of the terms you can learn yourself. And 5 years earlier, somebody would have asked me, then I would have said, go to an IT specialist. Today, everybody is an IT specialist. Today, everybody is a digital specialist. So there are protocols which offer security, which offer high-level security at the cloud. When you are buying a cloud service, you have every reason to ask the cloud service provider that what is the kind of security. These are encrypted security. These are secure sockets which are these layers which are available. So what kind of, if you have a keen interest, then please spend some time, do research. I mean, we are very fortunate that I mean, we have on internet, there is a trash, but within that, if we look at from the other way, there is a lot of gold also available. It's all depends on what kind of purpose we have in mind. And you can yourself see that what could be the security layers and what are the security protocols. And there is a now a lot of advancement in terms of this thing, because as you know, I mean, one of the job roles I spoke about was a certified ethical hacker, which is a proper job role. Its job is to ensure a bank may have a certified ethical hacker to see that how vulnerable, because all their data is on cloud and in data centers, and how could it be. So they will try to breach in an ethical manner, so that it is just like in a medical science, you are infecting a body to test, to treat it. In a similar way, those, so it all depends what is your purpose. But there is a, I would say, the perception, that was the first question we had from Mr. John. The perception about in having insecure systems is much higher than reality. Reality is not, I mean, of course, there are issues, I'm not saying. And as technology will keep moving, the technology hackers will also keep updating themselves. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Sir, actually, I myself am a certified ethical hacker.
Oh,
Let me
very good.
add you something. See, I come from the background of IT. I'll tell you a little bit about technology when people are talking. There are various levels of security. You can have your virtual private cloud, virtual cloud, private cloud. So there are, even within the cloud, you will have an exclusive systems. You will not be shared with anyone. Exclusive systems, exclusive network, firewalls. So there are various levels of security. So even so larger enterprises like big companies like Paytm, kind of people who does lakhs of transactions in a month, financial transactions are on the cloud. So I mean, it's too early to worry about it, because even you name about even Flipkart kind of companies, they are on the public clouds. They are in the Microsoft cloud. So we don't have to worry to that level, that so what will be the security of it. When somebody is asking about the free, I mean, I have something to say, suggest them. HubSpot is something will give some basic free version of the CRM. You can try it out. So there are thousands of products. It is very difficult to name anything. So sir would have might not come through that. So you can just give a try. HubSpot is something that it can you can start off a free version for the limited kind of features. Then you can go for the paid one. Sir, I'll
Okay.
jump into the next question, sir.
Yeah, I think let's take 2 or 3 more questions before
Sure, sir.
calling it
You're
a
about to.
day.
Yes,
And then
sir.
rest of the questions we can get it through mail, and I can answer it, and we can put it on social media.
Sure, sir. How government scheme help in addressing digital transformation crisis in MSME?
Yeah, so Manjula, thanks for asking. This is a wonderful question again. As I told you, there is a report which has been, which is there in public domain, which was tabled in Parliament the last year in Rajya Sabha. You can go through this report. There are 30 schemes, 10 master schemes, which address a lot of problems. This has been made in collaboration with McKinsey, very, very renowned company, and with a global and Indian specialists. Along with the government, they have prepared this. So this shows you for MSMEs, there are various opportunities which are there. Try go through that report, see that what are the opportunities for this thing, and then map your business with those opportunities, and then see that uh, uh, I completely agree with you that there is a crisis in terms of business continuity, because that is where resilience has now become so important. I mean, it's business is not about making profits or creating wealth, or uh, it's also about ensuring that you will have business continuity. God forbid something happens. Are you resilient enough? So all these things, I mean, you have to map. It is not easy for me to answer unless I know a very specific case. So go through that report, that is easily available. You can download the report and then see that those 30 schemes out of those 10 master this thing is there, which is going to take us to $1 trillion and 6.5 crore new age jobs in next 5 years, and a CAGR of 36%. What is that game all about? That game is there in that 247-page document.
Thank you, sir. I'll take one more question here. Sauradeep is asking, explain the difference between the data mining and data warehousing.
Oh, so you are taking my exam now, eh? Data. So data warehousing is more. This is more static. Data mining is more discovery process. It is more active process. Data mining is more from the point of view of, for example, you want to have a forecasting of your demand of your products. And whereas data warehousing, it is very similar to a warehouse where you stack the things. So data warehousing is statically you are accumulating data. It is more related to online, we call it as OLTP, online transaction processing, whereas data mining is more dynamic. It uses some of the tools like regression, or it uses some of the contemporary tools, and it is a discovery process, as I said, and it helps in decision support system. Decision support will be required by MSME at the strategic level, whereas data warehousing is about accumulation of data in a smart way, but more in terms of transaction level, and then you make meaning out of data. So let me give you a quick example before I finish answering this question. Uh, when a cricket is played, every ball, I mean, this I teach in my digital transformation workshop, that every cricket ball being bowled, there can be 40, 50, 60 data points. The bowler can be right hand bowler, left hand bowler, spinner, fast bowler, swinger. How much did the ball swing? Where did the ball go? How many runs scored? What happened? Eh, all those, so many data points get generated. When you start accumulating those data points, that is data warehousing. If the coach along with the team extracts data from that warehouse and analyzes it for the next match. That becomes data mining.
Exactly.
Okay, let's take the last question. I'm
Sure,
also
sir.
running short of time, so let's take the last question and then we stop it.
This is from Shravan actually. What are the main success factors for the development of innovative startups? It is not something very.
Okay, so Shravan Kumar, this is an excellent question. This is what I teach in strategic entrepreneurship. What are the main factors in key innovative startups? I am also doing a lot of research. So my research says, in by review of a lot of research literature, by view that entrepreneurs are more smarter than large companies in terms of identifying opportunities. The kind of opportunities entrepreneurs or MSMEs can identify, large companies cannot identify. New opportunities. But where entrepreneurs fail or where they sort of get into a sluggish growth or they are unable to come out of the cocoon is that they are not able to scale it up. They are not able to generate market power. So the innovation ideas, I mean, it is not that nobody else would have thought of Facebook. Tens of thousands of entrepreneurs all over the world would have thought of and would have conceptualized something. What Facebook is nothing but a collaboration platform. If you demystify it, what is so great? It's an innovation, yes. WhatsApp. It has revolutionized. It is the invention of the century, I would say, but it is so simple. So the key is not just the innovation, the key is to scale it up, to create market power, and that is what strategic entrepreneurship all about. So the innovation startups are strategic if they are able to scale up. That is where entrepreneurs are more smarter than bigger companies because bigger companies have a lot of inertia. They cannot dance so smartly as smaller companies can. The problem with the smaller companies is that they are unable to scale up. And those who are able to scale up, you have a lot of unicorns in front of you. Some of the unicorns, as an CEO, I also serviced them when I was in my entrepreneurial stint. So the only difference is that those entrepreneurs who have succeeded, they scaled it up, they acquired market power. I will give you a quick example and then I will stop here. SaaS, software as a service providers. When I was also an education technology SaaS provider. A lot of prospects asked me, would you white label your platform and then we will buy from you? I said no. I will be willing to lose 20 opportunities, but I will not white label because if I white label, how will I gain market power? My logo or powered by so and so has to appear on every screen. That is how I will. If Zoho says will Zoho ever white label their platform for you? No. So, will Flipkart ever white label their platform for your grocery needs? No. So that white labeling itself, while your idea may be brilliant, but because of your white labeling, you will never be able to scale up.
Yeah,
You
true.
go for you kill the golden goose for some golden eggs, which will finish after 6 months, and then your idea is gone. So that is where innovation startups fail to scale up and get market power and configure their business models in a proper way. Of course, I mean these are the things I wish I could teach all of you, but maybe at some other forum.
Sure.
That is another very interesting area, which is very close
Yeah.
to my heart. So I think we are reaching top of the hour. So Mr. Desai, I will like to thank you for
Yes, sir.
your
Yes.
leadership in organizing.
I should thank you.
We must thank you, sir.
See,
Yes, sir. Your
thank
words.
And
you.
I'll be happy to
And
answer all the questions. Please send it to me on mail. I will answer all the questions. You can put it on social media. You can send it to participants. So it has been a very,
Sure.
very good quality of questions.
Thank
you so much.
And so the whole experience for me also has been very enjoyable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for being part of this show today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Desai Garu. Thanks for being it. So I would like to close it with this. So please,
I want one
yeah,
Ravi,
please, sir. Please,
let
sir. Sir.
Dr. Singh go away. We'll
Yes, sir.
continue for 2-3
Sure, sir.
minutes.
Thank you so much, sir. You can drop
Thank
off.
you, sir.
I'll take it off. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Now, so a few more questions are there, really?
There are 1, 2 there. If Amazon, yeah, there are a couple of questions, sir.
Okay. No, because
We can
Dr.
answer
Singh
them, sir.
wants yeah, you can go ahead and answer. If it is not,
I
because
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
know
sir.
much.
I will note down. I will note down, and we will send it to the Dr. Antarprit Singh. So let him answer. We will send them effectively. That will be more appropriate.
So let us note down the number of the people who are asking, so that specifically we can make sure that answer
Sure,
goes
sir.
to them. Whoever
Sure,
raised
sir.
it. Now I have got to make 2 announcements.
Sure, sir.
One thing is today the earlier book which I have written, Unexplored Gold Mine, Indian Express has given a good coverage, and I would request everybody, if possible, or they want a copy, I can send it to them. So this is one thing. Second thing is next Saturday we'll have our next webinar in of Churn or Burn series, that is finance, a pillar of strength. That will be the name of the seminar. Most of the MSME entrepreneurs face, I don't have money, I don't have money. But if they look to their own balance sheet and analyze there are a lot of hidden treasures which can come out, including one question has come for data mining also. That is the biggest idle asset lying with many entrepreneurs that can be encased, as Dr. Singh has said. So these are 2 from my side. So next Saturday again at 4 o'clock with Ravi and myself will be going, and request you to bring more and more participants. So this can be more interactive. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks once again. Thank you all for joining. So it's not just for you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please share it to the people whom it will be really helpful. It is not for us. As Desai Garu mentioned, there are 6.5 crore MSMEs in India. So everyone can get benefited about it using this. So please share it with all your friends and family, whoever it is useful. Thank you once again, all of you. So we'll see you on next Saturday at the same time at 4 o'clock. Thank you. Bye-bye all.